Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and it's finally time, my friends. It's finally time to choose which Boltor are we gonna be incarnate. Is it gonna be the Telos or is it gonna be the Prime? And normally, when it comes to things like this, it's pretty simple. Hey, just go for the Prime. Not so in the case of the Boltor. This one gets, well, it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, you can compare the base stats of the weapons. That's pretty simple. All you gotta do is select them, after which you gotta hit tab and you will see the base stats. Normally, the Telos was the one that was crit heavy, while the other one, the Prime variant, was the one that was status heavy. Not only that, it also had a fair bit of damage extra. But as soon as you upgrade these weapons, as soon as you install the Boltor Incarnon Genesis adapter, the base stats change. So the perfect comparison would be to have both without any other alterations. So no mods, no void schools, nothing of the sort. And thankfully, we got just that right here. So we're gonna take a look at the stats. These are taken from in-game. These are 100% accurate and 100% unaltered by anything. First of all, the accuracy doesn't really matter all that much between the two, but you can notice that in incarnate form the accuracy is the same. While the stats may differ in its normal form and its incarnate form, the weapon will be used heavily in its incarnate form. It's only gonna take a couple of shots to fully charge the weapon, but it's definitely worth bearing in mind. Critical chance, well, when it comes to that, the Telos definitely has the upper hand. 30% base with a 2.4x critical multiplier versus only a 12% base and a 2x critical multi. However, when it comes to status chance, normal form, the Prime has it beat. 34% status chance instead of a measly 16. Not only that, but look at the damage. The damage is quite different there. You're looking at about 51% extra damage for the Prime variant. As the damage layout is the same, essentially 90% of it is going to be puncture and just a little bit of impact to make things a bit more interesting. Accuracy, again, it doesn't really matter when it comes to these weapons. These are projectile based attacks. They kind of fire the same, but again, the Prime will be a bit more accurate. Once again, you have the Prime on the right, Telos on the left, in case you missed the text up there. Fire rate is going to be 10 versus a fire rate of 9.33. The difference is negligible. The magazine, however, is another big advantage for the Telos. You're looking at a 90 magazine versus only a 60 magazine, and I always thought this to be puzzling, especially considering that the reload is only on 2.4 seconds. Once again, advantage Telos. Noise alarming for both. And there is one aspect that is not really mentioned here. The fact that the Telos is a syndicate weapon, and being a syndicate weapon, that means it has a very interesting effect, the truth effect of the Arbiters of Hexis. Once you get about 1000 affinity, and even if the weapon or everything on your loadout is capped out, it doesn't matter, you will still gain affinity. It's just that it won't count towards anything. All enemies within 25 meters of the player receive 1000 gas damage and a guaranteed status proc. Essentially, it's a big explosion. The player also recovers 25% of their maximum health, wall latch and aim glide durations and bullet jump velocity increase by 25% for a whopping 30 seconds. That is the truth effect, and I have confirmed it does actually work in Steel Path Circuit. It is fully functional. But let's get to that incarnate form. Accuracy is going to be the same. Fire rate, once again, we got advantage for the Prime, about 9% increase over there. Maximum charge is 160 for both. Multi-shot is going to be free for both. Noise alarming punch through of 0.6 meters. That's weird to me. The Boltor, the Telos Boltor, has a 0.6 meter punch through by default, while the Prime does not. Now, granted, 0.6 meters is not a lot, but it's still enough to get through the Grenier shield dude. You know, the guy with the riot shield that you can have between the visor thing? Yeah, essentially you can go through that one. Critical stats, 36% for the Telos Boltor, only 24% for the Prime. Critical multiplier, once again, advantage Telos 3.2 instead of 3.0. Status chance, this is where the Prime kind of makes a comeback. You're looking at 20% instead of 10.7, so almost 100% increase. And again, all of these will matter when it comes to mods, because all of your mods bounce off of this. When it comes to the damage, the Prime is still ahead, but not by as much as before, not 50-ish%. Only 20% more damage for the Prime. And its incarnate form, both of these weapons essentially transform into shotguns. But you notice something else. One more damage type has showed up. Between the puncture and impact, now you also got slash, and slash is the highest amount by a pretty significant amount. That's about 50% slash damage, over 60-ish% slash damage. Judging by these stats alone, strictly by these stats alone, I know a lot of you guys are going to say, dude, I'm definitely going for the Telos because of the syndicate effect and because of the high base critical chance. It may have a bit more status chance, well, a lot more status chance actually, and it may have more base damage, but more crit, hunter munitions, easy peasy. I like red crits. And so far, you would be correct, but let's have a look at those incarnations or those evolving talents. Starting off with the Telos, level 1 is just the one that enables the transformation. Level 2 is when we get a real option. Hunter's Mantra increases damage by 4, that is a base amount, with channeled abilities active, 4 punch through and 40% accuracy. This accuracy matters, and it doesn't matter depending on the playstyle. The punch through is always fantastic. Those are 4 meters, that is absolutely huge. The problem is with channeled ability active, and right now this talent, this specific activation is quite buggy in Warframe. The developer still has not fixed it, so for the time being it's best to avoid it. Crimson Overture, this one on kill increases damage by 2 and a 20% ammo efficiency for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3x. That is huge. That is ammo efficiency 60%. Never mind about the damage. Ammo efficiency will be absolutely huge, but apparently this talent only really functions in its normal form. Again, more details in the full and detailed build guide. As for the Prime, if you take a look over here, essentially the talents are 100% identical. Same values across the board, which means up until this point, once again, advantage Telos Boltor. Next up at level 3, what we got? We got 60% projectile speed, which is fantastic because in its normal form, this is a projectile based attack. Extended volley increases magazine capacity by 20, which again will only really be applying in the normal form, and 60% reload speed with rapid reinforcement. What you should bear in mind is that reload speed, while you may not care about it when it comes to its normal form, it also increases the speed of the transition between normal to Incarnon, so you get a bit more streamlined gameplay over there. It's not 100% worthless, and 60% reload speed on a 2.4 second reload is actually gonna make a pretty significant difference as well. And once again, my friends, you're looking at the exact same values, Prime versus Telos. Finally, the last one increases status chance by 20%. This one is called Elemental Balance, 20% for the Telos. As for the Prime, you're only getting 10%. Keep in mind that it does have a higher base status chance, 20 instead of 10.7. Survivor's Edge will also increase critical chance and status chance by 10% for the Prime. As for the Telos, 4% and 4%. This is interesting, isn't it? 4% and 4%. Basically, this is where the Prime kind of makes up for it. Keep in mind that these will be modifying your base stats. So if I got 36% with 4%, that means I'm going to 40% critical chance in the case of the Telos. And the status chance is going to go to 14.7 straight off the top of my head. But the Prime goes from 24 to 34 and 20% status chance to 30% status chance. Believe it or not, this is the talent that puts the Prime once again in front of the Telos. It's just simply how it is, my friends. And the final one is called Commodore's Fortune. Increases critical chance by 14% or increases critical chance by 6% for the Telos. So with that said, you gotta come to a conclusion. Okay, fine, which is the best? And before I tell you which is technically the best, you gotta bear in mind the following rule when it comes to Teshin's Cave. It prioritizes weapons that it deems to be quote-unquote better. So for example, if you have multiple variations of the same weapon, the Prime seems to be always be getting prioritized. What we don't know at the current time is if I take an Incarnon Adapter and if I put it into a non-Prime variant, does that mean that the game will now consider that to be better and actually make it show up in Teshin's Cave in case I have multiple variations of the same weapon? You get how that one works. I have already queried the developer on this topic. When I have the info, I will pin it in the comment section down below and I'll slap it in the description as well. This is also very important. It would stand to reason that when you incarnate something, it should take priority, it should be considered the best of. But when it comes to digital extremes without actual confirmation, I'm not gonna state that. For the time being, my friends, we are going for the Boltor Prime because the last talent, Survivor's Edge, puts it over the Telos from a stat perspective. So if that's what you're interested in, hey, what's the best stat-wise? Mathematically speaking, the Prime will be better. However, that doesn't take into account the truth effect. If you take that one into account as well, then you gotta bear in mind how many times you're gonna be using it per mission, per second, then you can factor in that additional DPS as well. One last thing I would like to point out, do you even look at these talents before you post them? Because Elemental Balance and Survivor's Edge, I mean, there's no competition there. Survivor's Edge is simply best in slot, the rest don't really compete all that much. You're looking at what? Elemental Balance, 10% status chance? Why would I go for that when I can have 10% critical chance on top of that as well? It doesn't really make any sense. For Elemental Balance to actually be competitive, it would have to have at least 14-15% status chance and not the 10%. And I do believe, my friends, that is pretty much it. Honestly, I have enjoyed this one. It was one of the more better duels, but for the time being, we are going for the Prime. And yes, I will get to cracking on that fantastic build guide for you amazing people. As always, my name is Blazar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.